Tuesday, friends. We sure do love Tuesdays.
It is Tuesday.
Tuesdays every week, Popped goes live on Facebook starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, facebook.com/popshow. And then we become a podcast.
We do. Oh.
I am Sarah, and joining me is Keith.
Hello.
And we are here to bring you the best in pop culture. If you are watching us live on Facebook, welcome. If you are listening to our amazing podcast, which of course you can download on Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, and iTunes.
Yep.
Also know that you can join us on Tuesdays. Ask questions, say hello, comment on our amazing sweaters and coffee mugs and all the random pop culture stuff that is hanging out in our room. We also have two delightful cats that like to join us every now and then. Today, we are going to talk to Guy Gilchrist.
Yep.
He's
been on the show before.
He's been on the show before.
A while ago.
It was over a year ago, but he joined us a while back to talk about his amazing work in comics and drawing and animation, and he's got a really iconic career. So he'll be with us a little bit later. But for right now, let's talk about pop culture.
Is that what we're going to do?
We're going to talk a little bit about pop culture. What have you gotten into with pop culture this week?
What have I done?
Keith.
Sarah.
Yes.
I have watched a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think here. I watched the Robert Downey Jr. Charlie Chaplin movie. And That was a lot of fun and got me back into that old style of movies and just that whole time period with the Stooges, Marx Brothers, just that whole era and style of comedy. And let's see, what else? Let's watch some documentaries. One on Tesla and one on the underground tunnels over in London there. That was really cool.
Nice.
I just kind of kept building on top of each other. And yeah, that's really been about it for me. I haven't had a chance to do much VR gaming lately. Been reading plenty of comics.
Vanessa noticed we've rearranged the room. I think it's wigging around.
Oh, we didn't really necessarily rearrange the room. It's just since we're both here today, I figured we'd put us both on one camera and see how it works.
Well, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. So romance.
Yes, that too.
We want to sit next to each other because we like each other. Yeah.
Oh, here's my tea.
Yeah. No. Oh, romance. Let's see. What did I get into with pop culture? My new treadmill show, which is an old one for me, but I like to have something that I've seen a million times and enjoy on in the background while I'm at the gym. And this time I'm watching The Office for the millionth time.
Haven't you already been watching that though? I feel like I've seen you watching that for like a while now.
You've been watching How I Met Your Mother for like a month.
I know. But so, I mean, it's not new.
No,
you've been watching The Office. So
I don't know. Something got me into watching the last season of it like a week ago. Okay. And then I rewinded like further back.
Okay.
Back to the first season that I remember really loving. I liked a lot of it, but there was one particular season that just really took off.
Which season?
It was the season where Holly shows up and Michael Scott finally meets his true love, kind of. And I don't know, it was just really good writing that season. I quite enjoyed it. So that's been my background treadmill show. The Good Doctor I also started watching on the treadmill, but sometimes it's a little heavy.
Okay.
It's just, it's a drama. And
does it now on a scale of 1 to This Is Us, how heavy is it?
Oh, like a 5.
So like half of This Is Us.
Yeah. I mean, I've only seen the first few episodes, so I haven't really gotten into the really heavy. I mean, there's some definite like, oh my gosh, dramatic moments, but nothing that, makes me cry. Although I will say I have cried on a treadmill before, but that was because the episode of ER where Dr. Mark Green died came on and it just happened to be on the TV at the gym. And I was only supposed to be doing like a 30-minute run. And then I like sobbed into my little sweat towel.
There's no crying in the gym, right?
Yeah.
Or
well,
baseball.
Obviously I break that rule.
I'm trying to think. Did we miss Good Place? We haven't watched Good Place in a while. Are we a little behind on that? I don't think so. Or did they stop already?
I don't know. Did they stop?
I don't know.
We are a terrible pop culture show.
Because Good Place has been really good. They've gotten into I think they finished their season, and now I don't want to spoil it, but I really want to talk about it too at the same time. This is the problem with these pop culture things.
I know. Don't spoil it.
But they have changed it again, and yeah, they've changed it again and completely kept the show going, and it's an awesome show, which you guys should check out.
Definitely.
So, that.
And interestingly, NBC, it is an NBC show.
Yes.
NBC has unseated CBS as the #1 viewed network for the first time in a decade. I think the last time that was true, well, no, it was maybe before that, but was like the Friends era. That was the last time that NBC was really killing it.
Which is weird because NBC has had a lot of great shows like 30 Rock, Parks and Rec. Like, I don't know how they haven't...
NBC, The Office was an NBC show.
Yeah.
But, CBS really, I mean, they had Survivor. They had the NCIS was a really big cornerstone for them. Big Bang Theory has always done really well.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think they started, and we still haven't caved and gotten CBS All Access. But
honestly, we've had enough shows to keep us busy where we haven't needed to add another platform to the...
We have, but friends of the show and frequent co-host Travis and other friend of the show and frequent co-host Dean, both have been watching Star Trek Discovery, and I kind of wish I was.
Yeah, so you can talk... I think they're going to be on the show in 2 weeks to talk about it.
They will be on the show in 2 weeks to talk about it.
We want to talk about some programming. We'll be off next week, and then I think the 27th, they'll be on to talk Star Trek Discovery and...
Yeah.
Kind of compare notes and have their big old discussion.
We're getting all Trekkie next week. Or not next week, but the week after.
Yes.
The 20th we are off. The 27th we will be back and talking Trek. And yeah, I want to watch Star Trek Discovery, but it's on CBS All Access. I also wanted to watch that Wisdom of the Crowd show with Jeremy Piven and social media.
Looks like Vanessa's watching Sci-Fi, the new show Butcher's Block. Apparently, it's super creepy. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any clips from it yet.
So, I don't know if I don't remember a lot of horror TV shows when I was a kid. I'm sure my parents probably didn't have them on when I was in the room. I feel like the creepiest thing from my childhood was the opening sequence of Unsolved Mysteries. Just that little,
I can see that.
I can't do it. But that was the creepiest show of my childhood. But,
horror seems to be making a pretty good
job. The Exorcist has done really well. American Horror Story has done really well.
Hannibal, before they decide they're in their run.
And they're coming out with a Child's Play.
Yep. Well, Walking Dead, Preacher, all of it got a lot
but I don't know if I would count. Well,
Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Okay, well, I don't know. I've never seen it because Evil Dead was weird.
Yeah, Preacher might not be straight up horror per se. Definitely more of the gory drama, but I would think that Ash vs. Evil Dead is definitely a horror. It's got, supernatural elements, all that stuff, lots of blood and gore.
Yeah, but the point isn't to scare you.
No. But, at the same time, I think it's still, there's still some shock value to it, and it's still kind of a gory thing. I don't know, because horror's got its own weird, you've got straight up, horror trying to scare you, trying to shock you, and then you've just got kind of the gory aspect of it. Where, you've seen both Evil Deads now. It kind of eventually molded in went into the comedy thing, and they've still kept that comedy horror aspect to the show. So
here's my thing about scary stuff. I'm generally not a fan.
Okay.
I don't mind shows that are scary because it's psychologically scary subject matter.
Okay.
For example, I like the movie Seven because I love the detail in it, and I love the premise of the 7 deadly sins and all that stuff. There are a lot of movies that are scary that I like, despite the fact that they're scary. Like Cabin in the Woods has some scary elements to it, but it's well crafted.
Right.
So this movie that's out right now, Winchester with Helen Mirren, I was kind of looking forward to it, even though I'm not a scary person, because the Winchester Mystery House absolutely fascinates me. And just it's one of the best ghost stories, I think, in American history, where the heiress to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company kind of went nuts and went out west and built this crazy rambling house and thought she had to house all the ghosts. And it's a really cool actual story. But I'm the type of person where in order to enjoy a scary movie, I kind of have to diffuse the jump scares for myself. Otherwise, it'll get into my head. I had to do that with Stranger Things. Another example of something that's kind of inherently scary,
right?
But the writing is so well done, and it's the jump scares that are the problem for me.
Yeah.
And I don't mind being scared, but it's that hey, gotcha moment that really bothers me. It feels cheap, almost. But anyway, Winchester, though, the early reviews of that was that they traded a good story for a lot of cheap jump scares, which you can kind of tell from the previews for it. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. If you've seen... Oh, Vanessa said she saw Winchester and it was really good. She really liked it. I don't know. I would... I mean, did it really get into the elements of the cool ghost story, or was it just a... I don't know. We haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so your guess is as good as mine, and I think let Vanessa comment on it and see what she says. But you mentioned the Child's Play TV show. They're trying to put something in development right now. So if it'll get picked up, who knows? You know, we've all heard the term development hell plenty of times.
Sure.
So we'll see if it even gets picked up. But it's from the guy, I forgot who it was, either one of the producers or the directors who did one of the Child's Play movies, and he wanted to keep it in continuity. So it would build on the franchise and kind of expand on it as well. So we'll see if it happens. So
I don't know. I mean, as far as scary movies go, I don't know if really Child's Play is one of the more prolific ones. But okay, well, let's give it a shot.
I don't know. It was pretty big. It was personal confession time. I may have been watching it as a kid one time on cable television, and my sisters walked in, and I didn't really deter them from watching it.
Oh my gosh, you're the worst brother ever.
Basically. And so they had porcelain dolls in their bedroom at the time, and as soon as they saw that movie, they decided to get rid of those porcelain dolls.
Oh, I bet they did.
They talked to my mom, and they're like, yeah, we need to get rid of these stat. And sure enough, they got rid of them real quick. So
Vanessa answered our question. She says they didn't get deep into the storyline that they could have gone, which it's such... The story of the Winchester Mystery House and Sarah Winchester is such a really... I mean, it's almost fascinating from a psychological point of view because... As you know, women's identity being traditionally tied to the home, and especially in these older...
Especially at that time.
Right. And then she just is building this crazy out-of-control home with around-the-clock contractors, and I'm sure there were elements of that, but I feel like they really should have paid that story justice because it is totally freaky as it is.
Well, they might have.
Yeah, I don't know, but see...
They might have been telling the story and still added these scare elements into it.
I know, but why would you take a great story like that and dilute it with jump scares that belong in like Scream?
Because they want you to experience the craziness that she's probably went through.
Yeah, but I don't even know if that was how it was. I mean, I feel like I would rather set an element of constant looming, fear elements than having cheap. I don't know. It just feels cheap to me. I mean, you know how I am about writing. I have really high standards for writing. And
That's true.
I think now is a good time to have high standards for writing because there's a lot of high standard writing out there.
Yeah, there definitely is. I will agree with that.
So, yeah, and it's such a cool historical story, one of my favorites. So I'm a little raw that it wasn't maybe done justice the way it should. But even though I feel like that about the movie, if we are ever out in San Jose, we are totally going to go.
I'm okay.
I know you like
no
haunted.
Problem
you like
getting
haunted
into
things.
A haunted house. So I wanted to go stay at the Cavalier before they renovated it because was it Bush that jumped from the sixth? Well, he either committed suicide or Coors. That's what it was. He either jumped from the sixth floor window or he was pushed. They don't know, and occasionally you can hear that thud if you walk by there. So
well, they used to.
But things that aren't creepy when you walk into them. Local heroes.
That was a nice segue.
Thank you.
The creepiest.
No, you're not creepy.
We actually touch everyone in a really creepy way as soon as they walk in.
Well, I mean, that's why I go in personally, but that's just me.
Greg, we're trying to help you here, buddy.
I need all the help I can get.
You touch our hearts with your amazing selection of comics.
There really are a lot of comics there.
There are. Right. In fact, let's show some of them in our intro video.
Ooh, transition.
Yeah. Do I have to do it? Last week was weird without it.
I was going to do it.
Comics with Greg. 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 Yeah.
See? It's fun doing it.
It is kind of fun. It is kind of fun. Well, it's always fun when we're talking to Greg about comics.
Yay. the best part of this show. This is when people that are listening to your show get up to use the bathroom.
Nah, this is when they finally decide to tune in. They're like, all right, well, Greg's going to call in around 8:10, 8:15. Now I guess I'll finally tune in.
Yeah, when they watch later in the week, they skip ahead to the video until they see your shop, and then they're like, oh, here's where we're interested.
That's not true at all. But I appreciate you making me feel like it might be true.
No, it's definitely true.
So what's going on?
Not much. How about you, man? Did you have a good week?
Great. What are we talking about? Absolutely.
Later tonight, actually, after we get off the phone call with you, we're going to be calling Guy Gilchrist, who used to animate and has met Jim Henson. He also drew some Ninja Turtles, some Muppet Babies. He's been drawing a newspaper comic strip for the past 23 years. So, got a lot to talk about.
This sounds like your personal savior.
Yeah, I mean, this has made me one step closer to Jim Henson. I mean, he's dead, but it's given me one step closer to Jim Henson.
Well, 2 steps if you count the death part.
Well, yeah, I mean, death is that extra step, but, whatever.
Don't go running into that one.
Closer than I was.
We're talking to a guy who has talked to Jim Henson, so a lot closer than we were before.
There's they got pictures
I know,
together.
they're bros.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we'll be talking to him later. But now that we're talking with you, I'm getting to see what the new comics are this week.
We are talking about me and the comics that I picked this week. I picked 3 comics this week to talk about. 3. Can we talk about them now?
Yeah. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My first pick is a new Kick-Ass book.
Okay.
A lot of people remember Kick-Ass, the movie. It was based on a comic. A lot of people read the comic when the movie came out. So, and there was a few sequels. They were okay. This one is back. It's by the same original team that did the first series, Mark Millar and John Romita Jr., and it features a new Kick-Ass. It's not the same geeky white kid that it was before. It might be a person of color behind the mask, so that's interesting. A little bit of newness to make people interested in this book, Kick-Ass, #1, tomorrow.
Sounds good. Now, okay, you've read it, you liked it, obviously it's in your top 3, but my question is, there had been talks about making this one into a TV show. I think Mark Millar's expressed his interest of wanting to make it a TV show, and based off of this new, I guess, volume of Kick-Ass, is this something you can see that you would want to watch?
I'm interested in all these Mark Millar books that he signed a deal with Netflix, and I think it's huge. They're going to publish comics. They're going to make shows. I don't think Kick-Ass would be the top of my list of stuff that he's done, but definitely I'd like to see his books made into really good shows.
Sounds good. Well, cool. What's next on the list?
Book two this week is from DC, and it is a Metal tie-in. Metal, I've talked about this series for the last 3 months on your show. It's DC's big book right now, and there's a one-shot comic tomorrow called The Wild Hunt, and it features the return of Grant Morrison to the DC universe, who is probably one of the most famous writers of the last 25 years. He's been gone for about 4 or 5 years from mainstream comics, but he's back tomorrow to write some stuff in this Wild Hunt issue, so I'm very excited for that.
Awesome.
And the last book was a Marvel book, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I'll take any cues you want to give me.
It might have been a certain Captain America, I think 698.
Yes! Oh, my God. Captain America, for those of you who remember that he was frozen in ice and then woken up in the present. Well, they're going to freeze him and send him to the future. It's going to be amazing. This book, the last 3 issues have been a new creative team. It's been Mark Waid and Chris Samney, and they've done a lot of really great books together, and they're making this Captain America book awesome. It's just really fun. It's really Cap at his best, doing what he does best. It's very much a rootsy Captain America book. And I love it. And tomorrow is the first part of a new story arc that leads into Captain America 700, which is going to be a big anniversary issue. So if you're not reading Captain America right now and you like superhero comics at all, I would recommend reading it.
Okay. Might have to check that out then.
And tomorrow is a great place to start.
Yeah, well, and Mark Waid he has been around for years, and he has won the Eisner Award. He has worked on DC stuff. I'm currently reading Kingdom Come right now. And he's done.
He looks like Ron Howard.
Yeah, a little bit, little the ginger and a little bit of the thinning of the hair. But yes, anyways, he's done a lot of great stuff. So, I can see why this would be really good.
Yeah, he writes really good comics, and they're not always good, but these 2 guys together are great. I think they're a good pair, and they work really well together. So
good,
good stuff.
He went to VCU though, so I might have to retract anything I just said about this guy. He went to VCU.
Yeah, he's a local guy, though.
So did my girlfriend. So what are you gonna do?
Oh, all right. Well, then I guess he's all right. Anyways, whatever.
Good people come from Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, not necessarily VCU though.
I'm just saying.
That's true.
I mean, it's my old alma mater rivalry. Sorry. Anyways, Greg, where can they get these fine comics and see your lovely face tomorrow?
They can get those and more at Local Heroes in Ghent on Colonial Avenue, 1905 to be exact, right next to Kogan's Pizza, or at their local comic shop, which they can find at thecomicsshoplocator.com.
Nice.
So, find some comics. They make your life infinitely better.
They really do. I've got a whole stack of them I'm behind on, but you know what? I'm always happy because I know I've got more comics to read.
Yeah, it's better than running out. Let's be honest.
It's true.
Can you imagine how terrible that would be?
What, if we ran out of comics?
If we ran out of comics, I can't even imagine.
I don't know. I mean, Greg would be out of a job.
That's true.
No, or he would be the richest guy in the city.
Maybe
if he still had
if he had the last few comics.
I know.
I could see that.
But what a dystopia.
You should be happy that you're with you've chosen a partner who's so literate, Sarah. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know, this is not anything to do with Keith's literacy, but there was a guy who claimed he was from the future, like from 2030 or something, and he passed a lie detector test, which of course are so easy to fail that they're not admissible in court anymore. But he said that they nailed time travel in 2028. Which seems like a narrow window. But my question is, he never mentioned when hoverboards came out. I feel like we should get hoverboards first. What do you think, Greg?
You know, I think if we had hoverboards, we'd all probably just break our necks. So that might be a good thing.
I mean, Darwinism.
Yeah,
man.
I was going to say,
survival of the fittest.
Thin the herd.
Yeah.
We certainly do not.
I feel like Tide Pods are doing that right now.
We shouldn't advocate people doing stupid things on Popped.
But, you know.
Unless that stupid thing is starting a pop culture podcast, in which case, go for it.
Yeah.
We can
or
use
a comic
the
shop. Awesome, Greg. Well, thanks for calling in, man. And I will see you tomorrow, sir.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
You too, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that time traveler story was. Did you see it?
No.
So
I have no idea
there
what
was
you're even talking about.
I can't remember where I saw it, but there was a guy who claimed to be a time traveler from 2030.
Okay.
And he said Trump gets reelected. And
is this recent news, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I saw it today. Okay. He said Trump gets reelected. He said that they perfect time travel in 2028.
Does it involve climbing into a refrigerator?
He named...
Or DeLorean?
I don't know. He named the president of that time, who was not anybody I'd ever heard of, but it was a woman.
Okay.
And I don't know. Good. It was just really weird. And I was chatting about it with my coworkers, and they said... They were like, yeah, 10 years before we nailed time travel. And I'm thinking, wasn't... Like, when are hoverboards, though? We should have had hoverboards already. Yeah, there he is. From daily, but see, like, these are all fake news sources. I mean, no one...
Well, I mean, they're not... Are they fake news sources?
Well, they're not super reliable news sources. I mean, they're from, like, Daily Mail, News Hub, stuff like that.
Popculture.com.
Yeah. You know, not that these are any... They're just interesting stories, you know. Yeah. They're not like hard news, but yeah, this guy swears he's from 2030. AI is coming to get you. He had but he passed the lie detector test, which apparently you can do by like curling up your toes or something.
I feel like you could pass the lie detector test just by being able to keep cool. So I feel like it wouldn't be that tough.
Maybe he was hypnotized or something.
Maybe. I
don't know. But yeah, it was an interesting story, but I still am waiting for my hoverboard.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'll be getting it anytime soon, or time travel.
Well, I'll get time travel in 10 years, according to the time traveler.
Well, according to him. We'll see what happens.
Why would they send him back?
We're also going to reach Mars in 2028.
Oh, yeah. Well, they just sent Elon Musk's car into space.
It's true. Electric cars will be able to travel as fast as diesel and gas ones, or petrol for those across the water.
Nice. Reading a British article.
Many forms of cancer have been cured.
Good.
I feel like that's the. Everything else is believable except for the forms of cancer. I don't think we've cured cancer by 2030. Noah says he's had anorexia and is in fact 50 years old. But he's taken an age rejuvenation drug which has transformed him into a 25-year-old. Nah, I'm not.
No. Okay. Well, yeah, I was with him up in, time travel, sure. But age rejuvenation, that's where we draw the line.
Yeah, no, exactly. I just want to know when we're getting like dehydrated food and we get like those little tiny pizzas and we put them in the hydrator.
The Mr. Hydrator?
The Black & Decker hydrator.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
So.
When do we get our Shemp Crispin Glover?
We can't, because that's going to be years of legal battles.
Oh, yeah. This is true.
And it'll change the film industry forever if we ever get a Shemp Crispin Glover.
That's true.
So, awesome. Well, we should go ahead and try to get Guy Gilchrist on the phone here. Let's see. While we do that, I probably should have been doing that while we were talking fancy time traveling stuff. But we're professionals, so let's see what we can manage to get working here.
While we're waiting, join us on facebook.com/popshow every Tuesday starting at 8 p.m. And you can join us for these fun and interesting interviews. We try to have them pretty often. Sometimes it's just us, but
I think about once a month we'll be doing these interviews with somebody. You know, last month it was LeWalds, which was great.
Yeah.
And you can download that one on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or Podbean. Almost forgot the fourth one there. So let's see.
And then, of course, you can join us all the time on at Pop Show on Twitter and get our pop culture chatter. And then on Facebook, we actually had a really good conversation about what we would name. There's apparently a new Willy Wonka reboot coming out. We don't know how we feel about that because, like, I swear we just did it. But apparently that was
but that was more Charlie and the Chocolate Factory than it was. It was more based off the book than the actual Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka was kind of lighthearted fun. So.
Well, we're getting another one.
Yep. But what we're getting right now is Guy Gilchrist. Guy, you there?
Yeah, I'm trying to hear you and stuff. Hang on one second.
Okay.
We're here.
Yeah, we got you. Got you on the line, just no video yet.
Okay.
So.
Yep, and I'm trying to get this.
Yep.
Uh-oh, did we lose him?
I think we lost him.
Uh-oh.
So maybe we should let him call us back this time.
Okay.
Let's see. There it is. Oh, geez. Okay, there we go. All right, take two.
Okay, there we go. And can you see me?
No, can't see you yet. Can you see us?
All right, I can see you.
Okay.
All right, let's see. How did I do this before? Okay, I see me now.
That means we'll probably see you in just a minute.
Okay. And how did I do this before?
There might be a little video camera down there at the bottom.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
There we are.
Yay!
There we are. And we got you rolling. Awesome.
Right.
Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
Well, it's good to see you guys finally.
Yes. Last time it was all over the phone. So.
I know we have upgraded. We're moving up in the world.
It looks awesome.
Well, thank you. Yours does too. You've got awesome Muppet Babies. You got Nancy. You got Ninja Turtles. You got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, well, I figured it was easier to put the big posters up rather than, try to clean up the production studio.
No, understandable. We totally get that.
Fair enough. We know what that's all about. So, Guy, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
The last time we spoke, I remember leaving that interview feeling so uplifted. And it was about your big break joining the Henson team. So I'm kind of hoping you'll recharge me with that story because one of the Popped hosts is struggling to finish her novel. Guess which one?
It's hers.
Gee whiz.
So I'm hoping you can share that story with us to kick off your interview and get all of us and our viewers all charged up about how you got your big break.
Well, it was a very long story, and so I'm not sure where you want me to really start. But I was working for Weekly Reader, and Mort Walker, who just passed away, and I absolutely it's just devastating that he's gone. He was like my father. Mort had a museum of cartoon art in Connecticut. That's where I live. When I found out that it was there, I used to hang out there all the time. And Mort had a thing where once a month, there would be a famous cartoonist that would come and do a talk. And every once in a while, that famous cartoonist couldn't make it, so they'd look for somebody local to help out. And I wound up doing that. And Mort saw the show one day and then said, you were pretty good, but no one knows what you do. And so he suggested that I take this funny animal comic, some artwork, and I put it up around the lobby of the theater area of the museum, and actually have a scheduled talk. And anyway, Mort remembered that artwork. And one day he was out golfing with the head of King Features, and the head of King Features was saying that for over a year, they'd been trying different cartoonists out for a cartoon comic strip version of The Muppet Show. And they had tried out like 200 different teams. And Jim didn't like any of them. And so, Mort just said, that's a frog and a pig, right? And,
but you find a point
Bill
on
said,
it.
Yeah. So anyway, Bill called me. I got a shot. And I did a couple of weeks worth of stuff, just trying to figure out. I had no idea what I was doing at all. Brought the stuff in. Bill liked it pretty good. Sent it over to Henson. They didn't dislike it. Bill asked me for some more work. Well, from that moment on, because Henson didn't say no, and Bill didn't say no, I just kept sending artwork in. Over and over and over and over and over again for almost a year. I would work on the comic book, during the day. And then at night, I would write the jokes and stuff and try to learn how to draw the Muppets. Of course, there was no Muppet art at the time. So it was all just sort of like off the top of your head, trying to figure stuff out. But eventually, I got the job. But I think it was just the fact that number one, they couldn't get rid of me. And they just flat out couldn't get rid of me. And since and for me, it was like oxygen. I wanted it so bad, and everyone thought I was nuts. They really did. It was like, what is that? What an anvil have to, hit you over the head like Wile E. Coyote or something.
Get a hint.
They don't want you, you know. Well, no, they haven't said that yet.
Right.
And eventually Jerry Jewell called me, the head writer of the Muppets, and said, that's the way I found out. It was like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. He was on the West Coast. I was on the East Coast. Called me and said, he just started talking about Gonzo and some stories that he had thought of. And I'm going like, Mr. Jewell, this is awesome, but why are you calling me? And he says, well, didn't Michael call you? Didn't Jane call you? No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Oh, well, you've got the job. You've had the job for like a month. So, it cracks me up when people say, oh, I've been trying so hard, for, I don't know, a month or something like that. I think that sometimes people don't try hard enough even to get mediocre at something. You're never going to be, I don't think, the best at, I never felt like I was going to be the best at anything, writing or drawing or anything. But there is one thing you can be, and it's the one that tries the hardest. And, and a lot of times that's enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and you're super enthusiastic about it. Even now, I can only imagine how enthusiastic you were about it then. So, and that's going to show in your artwork and, your drive to get it done and get the job. So I would.
Yeah, that's true. I loved the message of the Muppets. I loved the silliness of it, and I loved the peacefulness of it. The idea that, your frogs or pigs or gonzos, that we're all equally insane and equally crazy and equally fun, and how they all sort of stuck together, you and me against the world kind of a thing. And I was just a huge, huge Muppets fan, and what an honor. Who wouldn't just try everything they possibly could if they have an opportunity to work with Jim Henson?
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously, if I was of age at that time, I'd be doing the same thing. So, but how long? Okay, so how long did the Muppet strip go for those who don't know?
Not that long. I started working on it in 1980. We actually debuted in September of 81. And then we ran through about June of 86. When we retired the strip, it was for a lot of different reasons, but I didn't think it was going to be the end of the Muppets in comics, in comic strip form. One of the things that I don't think we talked about the last time was that, I had made up a Muppet Babies cartoon, a comic strip version of that, and also a comic strip version of the Fraggles, and the Fraggles was actually going to have all the Muppets in it and all kinds of stuff. I still think it was one of the neatest things I ever did, and I don't have the copies of it anymore. I think that Cheryl and the Henson folks, must have it in the basement or something, out in L.A. But when I retired from doing the Muppets, I thought we were going to move on and do something else. So it wasn't intentional that we stopped. But of course, the Muppets really never did stop. And my relationship with Jim.
Did we lose him?
I don't know if that's on our. I don't think it's on our end. I think. Oh, there we go. So, Guy, I think we lost you. Let's see.
Do you have me still?
Yep, there you are.
Oh,
you're
we
back.
got you back.
Yep, you're back.
Oh, okay.
We lost you right as you were talking about your relationship with Jim and the Henson Company.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that, my relationship with Jim and working with him creatively, it was right up until his passing. And, and then while I didn't have anything to do with what the Henson Company became and everything, I'm always going to be known as, as Jim's cartoonist. I mean, that's what got me everything.
Yeah, that's a heck of a title.
And just to reiterate, Mort Walker passed away last week, and there's not a man. He's the king of, not only just the king of cartoons, but there's not a guy ever that could ever do more for cartooning, for the art of cartoons, and for not just up and coming cartoonists like me, but also guys that were on the downward, side of their career, and helping them out and finding them work and always being there for everybody. And God bless Mort. I can tell you the last thing I told Mort, because when I moved down here to Tennessee and I wasn't seeing him all the time anymore in Connecticut, you wouldn't know. I mean, he was getting up there, and of course you don't know with me either, like how long we're all going to be on this earth. So I know the last time I saw Mort, I always said the same thing. I said, Mort, again, thanks for everything, and I love you. Mm-hmm. And he'd give you that grin, and the little boyish grin that made him ageless, and he'd go, okay, yeah, I know, you're welcome.
Yeah,
so I know that's what happened. I know that's exactly.
That's really cool. That was a good influence to have.
Well, Beetle Bailey was an amazing and long-running strip.
Yeah.
And it was syndicated, and Mort Walker.
It was your dad's favorite comic.
It was my dad's favorite. Absolutely iconic. You're right. So, speaking of iconic comic strips, you went on to do Nancy for 23 years.
Yeah.
And now that recently has come to an end for you. And before we ask you,
it's going to actually end. Yeah, the last strip runs this Sunday.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So before we ask you what your next moves are, Nancy has some really historic roots. When I started digging into it, I mean, that strip started originally in the 20s?
Yeah, it started out, a guy named Larry Whittington made up Fritzy Ritz, and that was in 1922. And then another syndicate hired him away to do some other pretty girl strip that I don't know what it was. But Ernie Bushmiller was working in the bullpen. They in these big newspapers, they used to have guys, cartoonists that were sports cartoonists, political cartoonists, all that kind of stuff that worked for the paper. And he was doing that, and also writing gags for the silent film comedian Harold Lloyd. And anyway, so they gave him the strip. And then in 1933, Nancy showed up on Fritzy's doorstep. And then in 38, the strip was renamed Nancy because she was so popular. And Ernie passed away in about 80 when I was working for Jim, and then I took the strip over in 95. So a long, long time.
Yeah.
Well, now that you're retiring with it, any idea if someone's taking it on from you, or is the strip?
I have no clue.
Okay.
And people think that's odd, but it's really not.
No.
When I took the strip over, I took it over from Jerry Scott, and Jerry and I never talked or anything like that. Jerry was leaving, and they reached out to me, and I wound up, getting the strip. Eventually, first I said no, and then I took it, and thank God I took it. 23 years. Yeah. But Jerry and I had we were friends and everything like that, but I didn't really know him. I didn't touch base with him about the strip or anything like that. So if there's someone that's taking it over after me, I don't know.
Okay. Gotcha.
So now you had so much time with Nancy, and it has such deep historic roots. How did you keep that classic property going in a modern age?
That's a really good question. It's really, how do you keep it going, period.
Right.
It wasn't so much, introducing cell phones and ATMs and all of that kind of stuff. It really had more to do with the characters and really fleshing out the characters and making them work for me and having the relationships work for me and creating those stories that I did. Sluggo had no origin. You just knew that he was sort of a dead-end kid. He had no, parents. He lived in a shack. There was all this stuff that had been going on for years and years and years. There was no explanation to anything. And so I eventually wrote stories for all of that stuff. And, and brought Phil Fumble back in. It's funny, when I brought Phil Fumble back in, drawing him like the way Ernie did, where he was sort of a short, goofy-looking guy, my readership went nuts and said, like, how could this guy possibly be dating Fritzy? So I had to make him hunkier. I actually listened to the readers and gave him a total, makeover, put him on steroids, the whole bit. And, but I brought him back in. I also brought in some characters that John Stanley had created for the Nancy comic books, like Una Goose Pimple, the girl that's kind of crazy and, a little Addams Family type of girl. It was really the stories and and fleshing out the characters and their personalities. I think that, that kept it going. And the other thing is that, the characters are timeless. Yes, they, they have cell phones and computers and all that stuff. The adults do. But the kids still do all the same stuff that you did when you were a kid, that I did when I was a kid. They do things that cost no money at all. Mm-hmm. They climb trees, they walk everywhere. They don't even really have bikes. I mean, there's been very few times I've, drawn them on bikes even. The kids do things that cost nothing, and they're pretty happy with just comic books and an ice cream cone, a piece of pizza, and hot dog, that kind of thing. And I think that that's part of the charm of it, that worldwide, irregardless of your station in life or where you live, you can identify with these kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pizza, comics, ice cream sounds like the life.
Yeah, no, let's do that right now.
Is there a particular character that you liked writing more, or like one you wanted to give more spotlight to, that you really found yourself writing more just because you liked him that much?
Not really, except that I never really wanted to. The one thing I never wanted to mess with was we never knew Nancy's origin, really. Like, she showed up there and we don't know if she was flesh and blood or she was not, Aunt Fritzy really wasn't a nun or any relations or anything. And I kind of felt like if Ernie would have wanted us to know that, he would have said something. But with Sluggo, I did a lot with Sluggo because I felt like the character had a lot to offer, and I had more freedom with him. So but certainly I think one of the relationships with Nancy that I really enjoyed was the whole idea of Fritzy not being blood to Nancy, but also being Nancy's, mother and father and everything. And that was something that I concentrated a lot on for years and years. I didn't even give Fritzy a love interest until, about 6 years ago, something like that, when I brought Phil in. Because Jerry Scott, who had been doing the strip before me, he didn't have Fritzy in the strip at all. And so I wanted to establish that bond, between like the single parent and the child, and that was really important to me. As far as what stories I liked more or anything like that, I liked whatever I was doing at the time the most. That's always it, right?
Yeah.
It's like the only thing that really matters is trying to do. Now I have enjoyed this last bit. The last few weeks of the strip, we're tying up all the loose ends, everything that, all of the storylines that I had going, and there's going to be a marriage proposal, and we'll see what happens.
All right, cool.
So what's your next move? Big question.
Besides, like, washing the dishes and stuff, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, wash your face, go to bed.
Yeah. What's the next step after this weekend?
Yeah, okay. I'm really, I'm kind of really enjoying taking a little bit of a break, to be honest with you.
After 23 years, can't blame you.
I've been, I've really been syndicated, since 1980, with the exception of about 5 or 6 years there, where I was working on 3 Tom and Jerry television shows, with the Turtles, with Looney Tunes, and still working with Jim, and writing all of the Tiny Dino books, the Mud Pie books, and all of that stuff. I've been syndicated every day for many, 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 many years, 40 years or something, and so I'm kind of really right now enjoying the idea of I'm painting, and I'm doing paintings, of Muppets and Fraggles and stuff like that. Things I haven't had a chance to do in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Professionally, I still control the licensing and merchandising rights of Nancy. Oh. And I've written a television show for Nancy, a Broadway show for Nancy, a whole bunch of songs, and a movie for Nancy. And so we'll see if any of that happens. And I went into, had a wonderful creative partnership last August, September, October with Dolly Parton. And we worked on, Dolly put an album out called I Believe in You. And she wanted me to create a character named Little Dolly, which I did. And if you guys go on YouTube or Vivo or any of those places, and you look up I Believe in You, Dolly Parton, and you look up the lyric videos, sing-along lyric videos, you can see the 13 animated cartoons that I did. That are cool. Sing-along videos for the whole world. And I'm looking forward to working with Dolly. So I'm kind of taking a break and kind of taking a breather and kind of gathering myself and doing some painting. But I'm also doing, as soon as people found out that, maybe I was free a little bit, there are a lot of folks that want to know about publishing, want to know about television production, want to know about, character development, syndication, both television syndication and cartoon syndication over the internet and newspapers and stuff. And I've been doing some consulting as well. But it's kind of really, really early. I mean, I just sort of walked away from the strip in January. Mm-hmm. And, here we are, the middle of February. So I've been kind of, painting up a storm, taking a little break, making sure that, that I spend enough time with my girlfriend, that she doesn't dump me, stuff like that.
I know the feeling.
We do require maintenance every once in a while.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Especially tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
It's her birthday. It's her birthday and Valentine's Day.
Ooh, I don't know if that's
So,
easier or
I got
worse.
a lot of work to do.
Is that easier or
you
worse?
better bring your A game. Well, for our fans and followers, I posted the link to the Dolly Parton "I Believe in You" video on our comments on this video, so go check it out.
Yep.
After we're done with the interview, of course.
Oh, right. But
don't go anywhere yet.
Right, of course not. And you mentioned, Guy, some of the paintings and stuff you've done. That's actually on your website, GuyGilchristProduction.com, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw some of those up there, too. I think I saw a Fozzie painting that was very tempting.
I know. Well, we're getting married this year. Don't blow all of our money.
Okay.
So, speaking of Dolly Parton and singing, you got to sing at the Grand Ole Opry. So
I've sung the Opry 3 times.
We want to know what you sang and how that happened, and how do I, with no singing talent, get to... I just want to go there and hang out.
Okay, well, yeah, because I don't know if they're going to let you on the stage to sing with no singing talent.
Well, that's probably step one, yeah.
Yeah, because my singing talent is questionable, but I did get a shot. Well, what happened was, I have had a career in music, and but it's been, that's always been sort of in my back pocket, and that's been something that songwriting I've kept on doing, but that's one of the things I'm doing a lot of right now. But anyway, many years ago now, it's going to be 20 years, I would think. I was going to present a bunch of original Nancy comics that had something to do with country music and stuff to little Jimmy Dickens on the Grand Ole Opry. And so we were out there and we did a comedy bit, and I presented all the stuff, and I read a poem, sort of did a recitation and stuff. Things went over great. And just before we walked off the stage, little Jimmy just kind of got an idea, and he just said, "Hey, Mountain Dew?" I said, "Yep." He says, "Boys, Mountain Dew." And he just hit it. And he's singing, but he's laughing because he's looking at me, and I've got to remember all the words, figure out what key we're in and everything on stage at that moment. And, and it's just like live, in front of the world. And he's just la, 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 strumming along, And anyway, we finished up the song, and I don't know what kind of train wreck it was, but we finished up the song, and we're walking off, and he looks at me and he goes, "You didn't even have time to get nervous, did you?"
I mean, that's the way to do it, I guess.
Yeah, chuck you right in the deep end, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did.
Well, that's amazing.
What were the other 2 times you sang there? What else did you sing there?
Well, I've gotten to sing with Charlie Daniels. I've gotten to do some gospel stuff there, and I've sung with so many different people.
That's really cool.
Steve Warner. I've had it's been awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like awesome. You've had a great career. I'm jealous.
I know Keith is jealous because he shortens his degrees of separation from Jim Henson, and I'm jealous because you separate the degrees of separation between me and Dolly Parton. I'm a big Dolly fan, and when I worked at CNN, she showed up there for an interview about something she was promoting, and I lost it. Like, I couldn't even approach her. I was so excited. And then I went home to tell my dad, and he couldn't even approach me, talking about approaching her. Like, we were both out of our minds.
I'm with you. Look, I'm totally with you. I was approached by Sony. Sony got with me, and that was how the project started. And I did the first video, I Believe in You, and then there's 12 other ones, but I did that first video in like 5 days. And we had it was an absolutely ridiculous schedule that no one could possibly do, and we did it. But when I delivered that to Sony on that day, 45 minutes later, the phone rang, and it was the head of Sony, and he was saying, "Dolly's here, and she wants to see you."
Oh.
Okay.
And she had landed her plane in between, Sevierville and wherever, LA or whatever, and she was waiting for me. and I got my Elvis jacket on, and I hightailed it over there.
Yeah, seriously.
And there's nothing that can prepare you for Dolly Parton, because it's just yup, and yup. It's just, she's everything, she's sassy, she's sexy, she's spiritual, she's sweet, she's funny, she's tough, she's smart, she's the works. And everything you think, you hope for with Dolly, yup, and yup. She's an angel of light, and she's a real hot ticket. And she's just got a soul that's, that's deeper in the ocean,
Oh, I love hearing when people who I just think are amazing and they actually are.
Yeah.
I just love that, because you never really know. Sometimes they look amazing and you hope they're amazing, and then they turn out to be real jerks in real life.
They tell you never to, meet your idols, and that's part of the reason.
I know. I still want to meet Dolly Parton. I don't know how I'm going to figure it out. I'll arrange it somehow in a way that's not stalkery, but I'm going to do it.
Well, I'm trying to think. She doesn't show up at any cons, though. It's the only thing I got.
The thing, I had never met her, and I'd never met her at all, and she was somebody that I always did want to meet. I mean, let alone, I never dreamt of working with her, but I've always wanted to meet her. And then just, God's got a way, putting people together. And gee, and she was just so awesome to work with. She gave me complete freedom. You watch those videos, and she, after the very first video, there's a clip that we have on our website and on our Facebook and everything of Dolly thanking the crew, with me, with her, at her studio. And then I came back, and it was like just a breakneck pace of we had 5 weeks or something like that to get 12 more videos done. And she just couldn't have been nicer. She was very hands off, because she loved my work, and she wanted to leave me alone and let me do it. And she had a couple of suggestions here and there that were wonderful, but she figured, Guy helped, create all of these Muppet characters, all these other wonderful characters that I love. Let him create Little Dolly. I'm going to love this. And she did, and it was wonderful to work with her.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
must
really
be
nice.
refreshing from an artist standpoint to just not have someone hovering over you like that.
Yeah.
So, speaking of stalkery behavior, when we were preparing for your interview, I found your IMDb page, and that has one credit on it. And I know you have so much more, but I can't believe this one.
It has. I don't even. I've seen that page.
Yeah. So you know what your one credit is that I have to ask about? It is from 1986.
What is it?
He looks very scared right now.
No, I know. It's. I feel like I'm springing this on you. Did you know you were involved with a project called Wrinkles in Need of Cuddles?
Yeah. Yeah, I did that.
What?
I'll own up.
Okay, so
what was it?
We were 2 when that came out.
It was,
yeah.
It's just. Well, you know why? Okay, Wrinkles was a line of Shar-Pei dog kind of toys.
Right.
They were all wrinkly dogs, and they had different wacky names and stuff like that. And I was working actually with Lee Mendelson, who I worked with on Tiny Dinos, and you know him from the Charlie Brown specials and all that. He directed all of those with Sparky, and anyway, Lee and his wife had some home video. They wanted to make a music video about these characters, and so I wound up designing the puppets and stuff like that for that.
That's really cool.
I forgot all about that. So that's there, huh?
That is, and I'm looking at your IMDb page, and I'm thinking, this guy has so many accolades in TV and his, and I'm thinking, this is what's on his IMDb page.
But I'll tell you why. Why that happens is because I'm always involved outside the television production, even though it's television. on the Muppet Babies, for instance, like when you see Michael K. Frith,
Uh-huh.
Whenever you see Michael K. Frith on one of the Jim's productions, that also means me. But I was always in the publishing end and the creative end of it before it ever got to TV. And then once it got to TV, doing all the toys, the books, the games, and all of that stuff. And so I was very, very, not working too very much at all on television production at all. Even when I'd be working at Warner Brothers on Tiny Toons and stuff like that, it wouldn't be, they'd be animating somewhere over there. We'd be working on the conceptual stuff and all of that, and then what we were going to, put together for toys and stories and things like that.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense.
That's
well,
neat.
I had to ask about it. And, Wrinkles has a weird little cult following everything has a weird cult following on the internet.
In this day and age, yeah.
But just so you know, there's like a whole little collection of people who are like weirdly preoccupied with this little...
I remember them. I remember they were like, they had really big ones and really little ones. And my kids liked, my daughter really, really liked them. And I remember that the home video was horrendous.
All right, I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that. Then.
Well, it had the girl from Punky Brewster, the friend.
Okay.
Yeah, she was the little actress in it, and she was adorable, but in that very 80s way.
Yeah.
With the puppets.
It was a. I remember the week on the set of that. Anyway, hi. Okay, I guess I'll leave it at that. But I like the character, and I actually did some books and stuff of those characters and stuff. One of the things that you wind up doing in this business is, especially when you have, if you have people that you work with, when you'll go from property to property to property, and I actually really Wrinkles was cute in that. It was Wrinkles in Need of Cuddles was the thing. It was like Wrinkles INC in Need of Cuddles. And, they were kind of like ugly but cute. And that was very, very sweet that way. And we put together a publishing program that had a lot of really wonderful morals to it and all of that. And I've totally forgotten about that. But anyway, that was a fun project. It was funny. I had dinner one night with an actress at one of the cons, and she was saying, "What do you do when you're working on a project that you hate?" And I said, "I have no idea." It was an awesome question,
Right?
Yeah.
and a lot of actors and actresses, and a lot of people that are in jobs like they have jobs they don't like. I liked everything that I did. I mean, I turned stuff down that I didn't like, and I didn't do things that I would be embarrassed by or that I didn't think had moral value and that were sweet and cute and that kind of thing. And I always enjoyed, like everything we did. And honestly, I remember the set of that Wrinkles thing. It just being a drag because I wanted to go home and go to work because my job was already done. I had already figured out the scenery, done all that stuff and everything, and I had nothing left to do. And so I wanted to be doing something else, and that was why it was such a drag for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get back to the hotel and probably, I don't know, ink a book or something.
Right. So, speaking of your inking, you're actually going to be not far from us in March. You've got a show at Workhouse Arts Center in Lorton, Virginia.
Yes, I do.
And that's only a couple hours. We're talking seriously
Are
about.
you gonna come?
Well, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
See, we
It's
can
less than 3 hours away from us.
Yeah, it's real
actually.
close. It's not that far.
Depending on traffic.
Well, that's
that
the thing
95
about
traffic.
about DC. You never
Yeah.
really know.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's a really cool thing that just kind of popped up. Like when you were saying, so what's next on you? I said, oh, I'm going to wash the dishes. The thing is like, now that it just came out of the blue, it's like, it was a really cool thing. I had done a retrospective. There was a retrospective of my art that was from the Muppets to Nancy with all of the children's books, Tom and Jerry and everything, Turtles and everything like that in between. And it was with the emphasis on the Muppet stuff. And it was at the Walt Disney Hometown Museum in Missouri. And that was up in display at the museum for about 3 or 4 years. And then last year or the year before, they took it down. And that whole collection has been waiting for me to go up there and get it, or for someone to want to do something with it. And I got a call about a month ago from, is it Workspace? Workplace?
Workhouse.
Workhouse. They were doing a play that had to do with Muppets and puppets and stuff. And they had an education. They had this huge space, and they wanted to do an art show. And I said, I have just the thing. And they called Marceline, got the whole thing shipped there. Then I called my friend Bill Diamond. Bill worked with Jim even longer than I did. He worked on all kinds of things, and he has, he has original Muppet characters from like the 60s and stuff like that even. And he worked on the Fraggles and on Dark Crystal. And anyway, and I suggested that they get a hold of Bill and get some of the puppets and stuff like that. And so anyway, that's all going to be there. Plus, I'm going to do a couple of panels, and we're going to have a reception that night. It's going. The show is going now, but I'll be there on March 10th. And we'll be doing some panels and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, because they got the dates pulled up here. February 10th to April 1st up at the Workhouse Art Center in Lorton, Virginia. And what kind of panels are you going to be doing?
I'm going to do a, let's see, I'm going to do a Q&A at the reception. But during the day, I think we're going to do like a 2-hour thing where I'm going to teach you how to draw yourself as a Muppet.
Cool.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go for this.
I gotta. Well, we'll figure it out.
I'm gonna do a talk about like Muppetizing people, and have you guys all do your own thing. I think it's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Now, it mentions a book signing. Is there a particular book you've got coming out, or is it just any of the Nancy books that anyone brings up, or what are the?
Yeah, it's anything that anybody brings up, but we're going to have original art. Prints, all the stuff that I bring to cons will all be there.
Awesome.
So lots and lots and lots of, like, everything you see on my website, on my Facebook page, it will all be there. And I'll be hanging out, pretty much that whole day. We'll be doing the workshop for a couple of hours, and then there'll be the evening thing. And so there'll be plenty of gabbing time and plenty of time for me to sign stuff and all that kind of stuff and be with you. I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. And and for those who don't know, we've seen you at 2 cons now, I think.
Yeah, the Wizard World ones.
Yeah. And actually, congratulations. You were actually named Wizard World in the Hall of Legends. Congrats.
Yes,
forgot to mention that. I saw that in the news probably a few months ago, and I forgot to mention it to you. So... But yeah, going to your cons, you get a lot of cool prints, a lot of drew on our hands. Last time we saw,
you got a turtle and I got Beaker.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
And you drew them upside down,
that's just impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So I'm trying to think.
Little magic tricks for you, you kids.
So tell while we're wrapping up here, tell our viewers and listeners where they can find you online besides the Workhouse Art Center in March.
Yeah. The best places to figure out what's going on with me is to go to A Guy Gilchrist Production, and that's both on Facebook and on the web. And we've got a brand new website, and it's being improved every single day. But but David is doing, my web guy David Beckman is just doing an amazing job with it. And it's got all of the dates, where I'm going to be, ways for you to get in touch with me. If you have questions and stuff, if you want to get a commission, if you want to get custom stuff, if you want to find out where I'm going to be doing panels, Comic Cons, college lecture circuit, all of that stuff. It's all there. Everything's there.
Oh, very cool.
Awesome. Well, I will post that on our Facebook feed right now.
And then I'm going to wrap it up with one last question for you, Guy. What do you think about the new Muppet Babies? They've released that first little look. They've got Summer Penguin coming out.
I think they're cute. You can't go back.
Yeah.
You can't go back. This is for a different audience
for sure
than ours was. Mm-hmm. And I hear a lot of snarky stuff, and but you know what? They're cute. They're pretty much in keeping what we did. Yeah. They've invented a new character, a little penguin that's cute, and you know what? It's a totally different thing. It's a much more innocent thing. It's not written for the different levels that our show was.
Yeah, I can see that. That's kind of the vibe I got too.
So I don't think you really can compare them. And I'm always for anything that keeps the Muppets and around.
Me too.
So many characters that I've worked on over the years have stayed around, but there's so many that haven't. Yeah. And and anything that keeps any part of Jim's legacy around, I'm all for.
For sure. No, I totally agree with that. The more Muppets, the better.
Yep.
So, awesome. Well, Sarah?
Yeah, I think that's all we've got. All we got for you tonight, Guy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's been always a pleasure, you guys, and I hope I get to see you.
Yeah, we're going to try to figure this March 10th thing out, because that's when the reception is.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we'll road trip it up. Even if we can't make it for the afternoon stuff, we'll be there in the evening and, come and hang out with all the cool kids.
Yeah, we owe you a drink for coming on the show, for sure.
Yeah, come and meet Bill Diamond, too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Bill's going to be there as well.
Perfect. Sounds like a great night, then. We're going to make this happen.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy, Guy. Wow, that was a lot of fun.
That was fun. I know. It's so nice getting to hear about all of the these cool, historic things and, just the cool jobs that people have. He said he's never had a project he didn't really adore. And I'm thinking, I've worked on so many projects I didn't adore.
Well, and that's even, for him as an artist, though, that's even pretty cool, too, because you're going to, just as anybody does. The artists are no different than anybody else in the sense that, you got to take jobs that you might not like, but it helps build your resume and get you to where eventually you want to get.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had to worry about that. He busted his butt, got the Muppets gig early on, and I'm super jealous, even though I can't draw anyways, and I wouldn't have gotten that gig, but whatever. He got to meet Jim Henson. That's still cool. And he's been making a career out of his laurels for the past 40 years.
Absolutely. Well, Neil chimes in and says he's an incredibly sweet dude, and he absolutely is.
Yes.
If you're listening on our podcast, you heard that awesome interview, but he also joined us live on Skype. So you never know what you're going to get if you watch us streaming live. And we love the engagement, and we have questions. And
you can, if you are listening to this podcast version, you can rewatch it on Facebook at facebook.com/popshow, or our YouTube page, which still has one of those crazy YouTube links, so I'm not going to mention it.
Yeah, we need more followers.
So
we'll get there.
Yeah, subscribe to our YouTube. Eventually, once we get to 100 subscriptions, we can give a youtube.com/popshow and make it easy for everybody. So make sure to share the Facebook page, share the YouTube page, and let's invite your friends. Because you guys aren't the only ones who like pop culture. You guys know you have friends who like pop culture.
Share the love.
So, and this is your place on a weekly basis to talk pop culture, except for next week, because
every week except for next week. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Injustice, the Ninja Turtles downloadable content came out, and no one's going to see me for the next week.
That's true. You're not alone, ladies and gentlemen. He will also be ignoring me next week.
It's true. I'm just not going to be here next week. I'm just going to be in that living room playing games, and can I take off work? I might take off work.
That's why you have personal days.
That's true. So,
well, let's wrap it up. We're never going to be able to outdo that interview.
No, definitely not.
So we should probably just say so long. Thank you for downloading our podcast at iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, or Stitcher. Remember, you can watch us live Tuesdays starting at 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook.com/popshow. Follow the page. It's where we post the latest pop culture happenings, our reviews, and comments and thoughts on popshow.com. You can follow us on Twitter at popshow. And we're here for all your pop culture needs every week, except for next week.
Well, I'm trying to think on popshow.com recently. Travis, friend of the show, frequent guest host, recently reviewed Altered Carbon, so you can get his thoughts on it. I reviewed Gotham by Gaslight, the book and the movie. That should be posted tonight if it gets approved. We'll see. It's got to have a second set of eyes on it because I'm not a writer at all. I'm not even going to try to fake it. So, yeah, popshow.com.
And I will have a post up soon as I figure out what it is.
Well, we've got Black Panther this weekend, so you can always give your thoughts on that.
We do. But right now, we have Fingers out of Richmond, Virginia, who mixed this amazing song. It is the Maniac Mansion mashup, and that is Fingers with a 1 and a 3. So F1NG3RS out of our sister city of Richmond.
Yep.
And as always, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you soon.
See you next week.